The Egyptian pyramids are undoubtedly the most fantastic structures on Earth that have been preserved almost in their original form for thousands of years. Many scientists have been and remain obsessed with unraveling their monumental secrets. One of them was the greatest inventor Nikola Tesla, and in this video I propose to plunge into the world of an amazing ancient civilization and find out what the pyramids so attracted a certain Tesla. Nikola Tesla was a talented inventor who was considered a brilliant madman. But it was thanks to his ideas that we now use smartphones, Wi-Fi, AC power systems, and many others. Tesla was passionate not only about invention, but also other research. However, he felt the most insane passion for the Egyptian pyramids. Tesla's interest in the mysterious structures of Egypt arose when he was 20 years old. Then he decided to understand what forces are hidden in these giants' powerful pyramids consisting of more than 2 million stones. Each of which weighs 3 tons, knows a lot of questions to find answers to which I wanted, and the great inventor Tesla was sure that the Egyptian pyramids were capable of generating energy. This contradicted the generally accepted opinion that they were erected for the burial of the pharaohs. However, none of them had found the pharaohs. Their bodies were buried in the Valley of the Kings. In addition to the pyramids themselves, were not found drawings and hieroglyphs that were part of the culture of the ancient Egyptians respectively. The question arises why so many resources were invested in something that does not make sense. Of course, the pyramids made sense to the ancient Egyptians. But what Nikola Tesla was surprised, and he tried to understand the hidden meaning of the pyramids. The inventor carefully studied the information he could find and came to the conclusion that the pyramids, they contain an incredible amount of energy. He believed that they receive energy due to electromagnetism. For this, the pyramids were built using crystalline energy, and the tunnels inside them were used to interfere with electromagnetic fields. He also assumed that the stones used in construction had the properties of energy storage from the moon and the sun. Based on this, he decided that such a form could be used to generate electricity in cities, and set out to recreate a similar source of clean energy. In 1905, Nikola Tesla submitted a patent, the art of transmitting electrical energy through a natural environment in the United States. Together with a patentee, he proposed the idea of a global network of generators that will access it on the sphere to collect energy. Tesla imagined the planet Earth with its 2 poles as a massive electric generator with an infinite supply of energy. Calling this idea the electromagnetic pyramid of Tesla's scientists drew the attention of their colleagues to the location of the pyramids and their shape, believed that this also hides the secret of their incredible forces. For proof, according to his theory, he decided to build a tower in the order that was supposed to use the electric field of the Earth. The location of the non-Tesla tower was chosen in accordance with the laws of the construction of the pyramids of Giza, connected by the ratio of the elliptical orbit of the planet and the equator. This design was supposed to become a transatlantic radio telegraph station and a wireless energy transmitter. But it was never completed. After Tesla's death, many followers appeared wishing to unravel the mystery of the Egyptian pyramids. Scientists studied the unexplored power of the pyramids, and thanks to the discovery of a brilliant physicist, were able to make sure that his idea was not a crazy invention. And later in the video, we will come back to this. There is an opinion that many of Tesla's discoveries are connected with his obsessive belief in the magic of numbers. He considered the numbers 369 special and called the key to solving the mysteries of the universe. Before the scientist drove around the building 3 times. He lived on the 33rd floor of a hotel in New York and stayed in rooms that were multiples of 3 and consisted of his favorite numbers. For example, 3327, where 3 house 6 and 2 plus 7 9. Tesla slept 3 hours a day. He used 3 cutlery that he rubbed with 18 napkins to shine. Nikola Tesla understood the fundamental facts that are the universal language of mathematics. No one invented mathematics. It was, is, and will be, and everything in our universe obeys its laws. Tesla tried to explain his obsession by proving more and more new facts related to 369. For example, if add up the numbers and the values of the diameters of the Earth, Sun, and Moon in miles, then in all 3 cases the result will be the number 9. I suggest you take a look at one interesting fact demonstrating that the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are really magical. Tesla suggested mathematician Mark Rodin built a 9-figure diagram and began to double the numbers, connecting them with a result. He began with 1 plus 1 1 2 2 plus 2 4, 4 plus 4 8 plus 8 16, 16 32 32 64, and so on. Then he wrote down the results in a sequence, leaving the single-digit ones unchanged, and added their value in the two-digit ones since there were no numbers greater than 9 in his diagram. He received the numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5, which in the future will be to repeat if you continue to add up the numbers as part of the number. It is surprising that in this sequence, they're exactly those numbers that Tesla was passionate about 369, but what happens if you double these magic numbers by the same method? Let's see, 3 plus 3 equals 6, 6, 6 equals 12, 12. Is 1 plus 2 equals 3, 12, 12, 24, this is 2 source or L 6, and so on. The numbers 3, 6 will be repeated in turn. And what about the doubled number 9, 9, 9, 9, 9? 18 and 18 is 1 plus 8 equals 9, 18, 18, 36, 30, 6 is 3, 6. S-ray, 6, 9, and so on. No matter how many times you repeat the algorithm, you will always get the number 9, which Tesla considered a source of divine power. And now take another look at the diagram. If we connect all the numbers except 3, 6, and 9, we will get an infinity sign. And if we connect our 3 magic numbers, we will get nothing more than a triangle. And this should make you wonder why the ancient Egyptians built their mysterious structures of exactly this shape besides the most majestic pyramids 3 are next to them. There are 3 smaller ones that in the sum give 6. It turns out that the magic of these numbers was believed not only by brilliant scientists including Tesla, but also by people who lived about 5,000 years ago. And that's not all. The pyramids of Giza, the embodiment of incredibly accurate calculations and numerical combinations, is great. The Pyramid of Cheops consists of 2.5 million stone blocks. Its total weight exceeds 6 million tons. Its orientation to the cardinal directions is as perfect as possible and is 5 arc minutes and 30 seconds earlier. It was believed that the pyramid has 4 faces, but in fact there are 8 in addition. The side faces are slightly curved, and this is clearly visible from a height and at a certain angle of the direction of light. It seems that the ancient Egyptians knew a lot about our planet, and this proves a few more amazing patterns. For example, if we divide the perimeter of the pyramid by twice the height, we will get the result approximate to pi. If we multiply the perimeter of the base of the Great Pyramid 3.24 feet by 43,200, we get the value of the equatorial circumference of the Earth. If we multiply the height of 481 feet by 43,200, we'll get the value of the polar radius of the Earth. While the errors will be minimal, the number 43,200 is the value of the axial precession of the Earth, which also attracts many scientists. The fact is that it is a multiple of 72. The number of years required for 1 degree of oscillation of the numbers 72 and 432 can be found in a number of ancient mythologies and sacred texts. Including 72 is the number of languages spoken during the construction of the Tower of Babel 72. The number of temples of Wanke is the number of degrees of longitude between Angkor and the Great Pyramid, 432,000. The 9 syllables of the Hindu Rigveda 432 heads is a harmonic frequency that is considered an ideal resonance in music. It turns out that the ancient Egyptians believed in the magic of numbers that was known for millennia before the beginning of the new era. Now it is not surprising why Tesla was obsessed with numbers. No less interesting is that thanks to very according to precise calculations, the pyramid was built so that in the early morning on the days of the equinox, the rising sun illuminates the western half of the southern face for a moment, leaving its entire eastern part in shadow, after which the entire southern side is illuminated. After about 12 hours, the play of light repeats again. But in reverse order, the equinox on Earth occurs twice a year on March 21 and September 23. On such days, the sun's rays touch both poles and fall vertically on the equator, so the hemispheres are illuminated equally, and the duration of the day is equal to the duration of the night. Most modern people treat the equinox as an ordinary phenomenon, but it was it that helped the ancient Egyptians to be so accurate in calculations during the construction of the pyramids. The American engineer Glenn Desch believes that the Egyptian builders used genomons, ancient simple tools in the form of vertical pillars, cast a shadow on the ground during the day. They marked the points where the shadow of the pillar ended, after which by connecting them, they received a semicircle. A straight line passing through it pointed to the west and east, and it was during the autumn equinox that such calculations are as accurate as possible. To prove this theory, Desch conducted an experiment on the day of the autumn equinox in 2016. Surprisingly, the American managed to get a straight line whose deviation from the conventional straight line drawn between west and east was only 7 angular minutes is hard to believe. But exactly same slight deviation is observed in the position of the Egyptian pyramids, which means that the ancient builders were not only well versed in mathematics, but also well understood the principles of natural phenomena. But let's return to the question that Tesla was interested in. Is the pyramid really a source of energy? If so, then where to find evidence? Let's try to figure it out. The outer layer of the pyramids in Giza was covered with white limestone tuff with excellent insulating properties. The inner blocks were made of another form of limestone containing a certain amount of metals and crystals. Granite shafts with weak radioactivity were found inside the pyramid. According to scientists, this material contributed to the ionization of the air inside the air shafts. And dolomite containing a large amount of magnesium was found in the very center of the buildings, which is an excellent conductor of electric current. All these facts led scientists to the conclusion that the outer layer of the pyramid served as an insulator, and inside there was a core with high conductivity. And this makes us think about the true purpose of the pyramids. Perhaps the Egyptians built them in order to get a huge energy generator. To find out the answer to this question, are the pyramids really able to emit energy? In 2018, Russian physicists from the St. Petersburg National Research University of Information Technology Mechanics of Optics decided to direct electromagnetic radiation to the Pyramid of Cheops. Of course, the experiment was conducted not on the structure itself, but on its mathematical model, which was designed taking into account all the known features of the original. The results of the study shocked scientists. The Great Pyramid of Cheops not only concentrates the electromagnetic field, but also focuses it especially bright. The phenomenon manifests itself on long waves from 200 to 400 meters commensurate with the pyramid itself, from which they enter into a certain resonance. It is difficult to believe that the ancient Egyptians could have known both the focusing properties of the pyramid and the discoveries of modern physicists could only be a coincidence. But then why did its creators place burial chambers exactly in those places where the highest concentrations were recorded? Unfortunately, there are no answers to this question yet. Studies of the pyramids again prove that they could be used as a source. It was this ancient technology that Nikola Tesla tried to implement in his tower in the order of Cliff Tesla Tower. According to the conclusion of the researchers, was built on aquifers that the identical technology that was used in the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza and the fantastic Tesla Tower were power stations feeding electrical components across vast distances, carrying electrons directly through the air to consumers. The pyramids of Giza rise above the limestone layers with water carriers, and the space between them is filled with a large amount of water. The layers are able to transfer energy upwards, as well as they carry groundwater too. From this it can be concluded that a large volume of water flow passing inside the pyramids was able to produce physioelectricity. Physioelectricity, this energy is derived from modern physical movements, and with the help of certain devices converted into electricity, and the ancient Egyptians used energy from the flow of the Nile River for this purpose. The chambers built in the walls of the Great Pyramid of Giza are considered granite conductors, and the whole structure supported the idea of physioelectricity. Thus, this material design of the pyramid itself transmits an electromagnetic field arising at the very bottom of the pyramid towards. Scientists believe that in the distant past the device of excellent electrical conductivity is located precisely at the top of the pyramid, where empty space is now located. Probably from here energy could be transmitted into space without the use of wires. It was this technology that was to be implemented in the Tesla Tower, for the construction of which John Morgan allocated $150,000. The Wardenclyffe Tower was to become the world's first example of wireless communication. The facility was almost completed, but it turned out that the costs exceeded the budget and the tests required the help of investors. John Morgan refused further financing, fearing a market collapse after the introduction of innovative technology for transmitting electricity without wires instead. The rich man began to help Edison, Marconi projects, and worst of all, he urged other investors not to sponsor the project and Tesla. So the Wardenclyffe Tower turned out to be only an unfinished project. In 1917, it was destroyed because the American authorities were worried that it might serve as a beacon for German ships. It is surprising that it was not so easy to demolish the Tesla Tower. Probably during construction, he was guided by the technologies of the ancient Egyptians. It is known that thanks to a special solution, the blocks of the pyramids fit so tightly together that it was almost impossible to enlighten them with rays. Perhaps Tesla also solved the secret of this solution because it was possible to destroy his tower. Only with the help of scientists do not refute the explosion and the fact that the pyramids ceased to function as a power plant. Also, after the explosion, only after what an approximately interesting study was presented to the world by American engineer Christopher Dan. He believes that for the pyramids to function, hydrogen was needed, which was found in the Queen's chamber. Chemical reactions took place inside the mine using 2 solutions of hydrated zinc chloride and hydrochloric acid. In addition, a large amount of salt was found in this chamber, which was formed after hydrogen-containing gas reacted with calcium contained in the limestone walls of the pyramid. And this once again proves the theory of using the pyramids as a power plant hydrogen when mixed with air forms an explosive mixture, which is why the pyramid blocks were so firmly installed. But no one is immune from mistakes, and perhaps something happened inside the pyramids that led to an internal explosion. This can explain the traces of burns found on the ceiling of the descending corridor and the deformation of the wall of the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid. Some scientists suggest that the pyramid was damaged due to a strong earthquake. But such an event was not mentioned in the records of the ancient Egyptians. But objects resembling lamps were found on many wall images, which also gives reason to think. But before we talk about the functions of the pyramids, we should generally figure out who built them and when, in addition to the generally accepted opinion. There is also a theory proposed by Graham Hancock. In his opinion, about 12,000 years ago, there was a well-known civilization on Earth that was involved in the construction of pyramids. This theory suggests that the pyramids were built much earlier than 4,500 years ago. Robert Bouville presented to the world his correlation theory of Orion, confirming the idea of the Crimea Hancock. Orion is one of the brightest constellations visible to the naked eye. The Orion belt can be observed in almost all corners of the Earth, and it consists of 3 bright stars. The 3 Great Pyramids of Gizeh in Egypt were not built by chance. They are located on the legendary parallel of 33 degrees north latitude. If you look at the image of 3 stars and 3 pyramids, it becomes clear that the pyramids are connected with their proposal with the orientation of the Orion belt. Robert Buell also drew attention to the statue of the Sphinx, which was supposed to be facing the constellation Leo, the point at which looks Sphinx moves along the horizon exactly according to the 12 zodiac constellations, only in the opposite direction in our time. His gaze left the constellation of Pisces and moved to using this data. He decided to project the location of the constellation Leo 4.5 thousand years ago with the help of a computer, but the coincidence did not work out. Then he proposed to rewind a millennium ago and finally stopped at about 10.5 thousand years ago. It was at this time that the Sphinx gaze was directed to the point of the vernal equinox of the constellation Leo, and this can only mean that the statue it was built 10,500 years ago. Another amazing statement, based on the analysis of stones and statues from the Sphinx, was made by Dr. Robert Soch. He noticed that the stones show signs of erosion and weathering, which is typical for long-term exposure to water and the sun. Is a lot of sun in the desert, but where could it come from in the water if there was a drought in this area for 5,000 years? Show suggested that traces of erosion could only arise as a result of prolonged exposure to powerful streams. In addition, only the lower part of the statue was exposed to water. The upper part had traces indicating the effects of strong sandstorms, and the head of the Sphinx was made thousands of years later. This assumption may indicate that the age of the statue, namely its lower part, may exceed 10,000 years, and the statue that has survived to this day is restored enduring the melting of glaciers. Many people died and many structures could not withstand this element. Perhaps this is what gives the answer to the question of why the pyramids ceased to function. More and more new studies by physicists, archaeologists, and geologists indicate that Nikola Tesla was right in his assumptions, and the ancient pyramids really contain evidence of electromagnetic energy. Brilliant people who lived millennia ago, technologies that for us modern people remain riddles. Nikola Tesla wanted to make electricity free and accessible to everyone. Just imagine that everything in our life could have been completely different if the famous banker John Morgan had not been afraid to lose his money and continued to sponsor the project. And Tesla, unfortunately, clean energy died together with the ingenious inventor, and our world chose another way of transmitting electricity that it turned out to be dangerous for the environment and life on Earth. And that's it for me. If you like this video, do not forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell for me. Your activity is best reward. Thank you for your attention. See you soon for now.